Beloved chosen one, something shifted in heaven today. You may not have felt it in your body. You may not have seen any light flash across your sky, but heaven noticed. The moment you acted in quiet obedience, when no one was watching, when no one applauded, heaven paused. The eyes of the Lord turned toward you, and the sound of angels briefly ceased, because a single act of faith moved the heart of God. You did something that truly delights Him. You see, the kingdom does not measure greatness by what is loud or visible. It measures greatness by obedience. What you did today, whether it was forgiving someone who wounded you, showing kindness to one who ignored you, or resisting a temptation that called your name, was not small. It was sacred. It was the proof that the spirit within you is stronger than the noise around you. Every quiet choice you make toward righteousness echoes like thunder in the unseen realm. Heaven records moments like this. There are scrolls, ancient and luminous, where your name is written beside your obedience. And today, one of those pages was turned. The ink of divine delight flowed across it, not because you were perfect, but because you chose faith when it would have been easier to give in. Listen carefully. What you did today was not coincidence. It was alignment. You walked in step with heaven's rhythm. The Spirit prompted and you responded. You did not delay. You did not rationalize. You simply obeyed. That's what caught heaven's attention. Many people think God delights only in grand gestures, in preaching or miracles. But the truth is deeper. The Creator rejoices when His child chooses light over darkness in the smallest of moments. When you refused bitterness, when you held your tongue instead of lashing out, when you prayed instead of complaining, He smiled. The Lord delights in the hidden victories, as was spoken in the sacred texts of old, in the book of 2 Chronicles, chapter 16, verse 9. For the eyes of the Lord range throughout the earth to strengthen those whose hearts are fully committed to Him. Do you understand, chosen one? His eyes were upon you. Among billions of hearts beating this very day, His gaze rested on yours. You may have thought you were insignificant, but heaven disagrees. You are one of the rare ones who still listens to the whisper instead of the crowd. You are not walking aimlessly. You are fulfilling prophecy through obedience. That tug you felt in your heart earlier today, that moment you hesitated, but still chose to do what was right. That was heaven's invitation, and you said yes. Every yes whispered in surrender becomes a song in heaven. Every act of faith releases light that drives darkness away from your path. You may not have heard the sound of angels rejoicing, but it happened. It is happening still. Chosen one, understand this truth. God is not impressed by perfection. He is moved by sincerity. Your imperfect but willing heart pleases Him more than flawless performance. When you lift your hands in worship after a weary day, when you thank Him while still waiting for your breakthrough, heaven leans closer. The fragrance of your faith fills the courts of glory. So, don't underestimate what happened today. That small, secret act of obedience was a divine earthquake. The enemy trembled because he realized, you are still standing, you are still believing, you are still choosing God even when it costs you comfort. That's what terrifies the darkness. There is a record in heaven called the Book of the Faithful. It holds the names of those who choose love when hate would be easier, who keep praying when the silence feels endless, who obey when no one sees. Today, your name was written there with new ink. The angels know your name. The King smiles over you. Chosen one, the world may not applaud you, but heaven just did. Your obedience sent ripples into realms beyond what your eyes can see. It realigned things in your favor. It commanded angels to guard your steps. It caused mercy to wrap around your tomorrow. This message finds you not by coincidence, but by divine orchestration. Heaven pressed pause on everything else just to tell you, Well done, my beloved. You have delighted me. If this resonates deep in your spirit, let your heart respond. Lift your eyes for a moment and whisper, "Thank you, Lord." Then, as a prophetic act of agreement with heaven, like, share, and comment 7 and 7 below, because that number represents divine completion and spiritual alignment. And if you have not yet done so, subscribe to stay connected to this flow of heaven's messages, because this space is where the chosen ones gather, where light calls to light. Your obedience today marked the beginning of something bigger. It is the proof that you are not ordinary. You are God's chosen vessel, a carrier of light, a reminder that faith still moves mountains, and that simple obedience still delights the heart of the Almighty. You did something today that pleased God, and heaven noticed. You thought it was small, chosen one. Just a moment, a passing decision, a simple act of kindness, a quiet turning away from something that didn't honor God. Yet in the unseen world, your action sent shockwaves through the darkness. What you did today, though invisible to human eyes, disrupted plans the enemy had been weaving for months. The forces that once surrounded you with despair felt something they fear most: obedience infused with love. The darkness had assumed it knew you. It had watched you cry in silence, doubted your resilience, and predicted your surrender. But today proved it wrong. The moment you chose to walk in truth rather than bitterness, something sacred happened. The chains that once tightened around your spirit began to loosen because the light within you grew stronger. Every time you say no to the voice of compromise, your light expands. Every time you say yes to compassion, that light pierces the atmosphere. You carry a frequency from heaven itself, the sound of redemption. That's what darkness fears. It's not your words or your talents that frighten hell. It's your unwavering faith when everything tries to shake it. There are moments in life that don't make the headlines of earth but echo in heaven's records. Today was one of those moments. You didn't need an audience. Heaven was your witness. You didn't need recognition. God's delight was enough. That's why the shadows trembled. Your obedience carried authority, a kind of authority that cannot be faked or bought, only birthed in surrender. The realm of darkness thrives on reaction. It feeds on chaos, fear, and emotional storms. But when you moved with calm conviction, refusing to be provoked, you broke a pattern that had kept you bound. You didn't even know it, but your silence became a declaration of victory. Each time you choose stillness over anger, you are declaring that heaven rules over every circumstance. Scripture says in the Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 5, "The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it." Those words are not poetic, they are prophetic. They describe you. The same light that dwells in Christ is the light that now burns within you. The same power that held back darkness at creation now flows through your obedience. Think about that for a moment. When you chose patience today instead of reaction, when you extended mercy instead of retaliation, you became living proof of that verse. The darkness didn't overcome you because it couldn't. It never could. The presence of God in you is not fragile. It's indestructible. You may not see the shift with your physical eyes, but heaven saw it clearly. The moment you forgave, light exploded in places that had been dim for years, and heaven recorded your victory in its eternal archives. Even now, unseen angels surround you, reinforcing what your faith has established. Every breath you take in peace, every thought surrendered to love, releases a fragrance that reminds darkness it has already lost and cannot touch you again. There are forces that study your patterns, hoping to find a weakness. But your surrender today confused them. They can't understand humility. They can't comprehend love, and they cannot withstand the radiance of genuine faith. When you acted in alignment with heaven, You created a crack in the walls that once confined you, and through that crack, the light of Christ burst forth. Chosen one, this is what victory looks like. It's not always loud. It doesn't always involve shouting or spectacle. Sometimes victory looks like holding your peace. Sometimes it's a simple, unseen yes whispered to God in the dark. Today's act was one of those victories. The light of heaven moved through your decision like a river, cleansing what the enemy thought he had claimed. Don't underestimate the warfare hidden in gentleness. Don't dismiss the power in a single, surrendered choice. You didn't just resist darkness. You revealed who you truly are. You are not merely surviving the storm. You are changing the atmosphere through your faith. You are carrying heaven's fragrance into places once filled with despair. The enemy tried to use your past as evidence against you, but heaven silenced that accusation with your obedience. When you said yes to God, every voice of condemnation lost its authority. When you acted from love instead of fear, heaven declared you victorious. Understand this, beloved. What you did today was not a coincidence. It was a divine appointment. God positioned you to act, and through your obedience, light was released. Somewhere, someone's heart was softened. Someone's hope rekindled because of the wave that started with you. Heaven's realm operates on principle. Light always wins. The darkness may roar, but it cannot endure where the presence of God abides. And today, you carried that presence with grace. The heavens took notice, and though your world may seem quiet, something monumental shifted. So rest tonight knowing this. The enemy trembled not because you shouted, but because you stood firm. Your obedience is your weapon. Your peace is your armor. Your faith is your fire. The light within you has already won. There are moments when heaven leans in close. Moments when God smiles, not because you achieved perfection, but because you chose His heart over your habits. Today was one of those moments. Chosen one, the divine Father, creator of galaxies and keeper of time, looked upon you with affection. Your simple act of obedience became worship, and your quiet endurance became incense before His throne. You didn't need applause for heaven to celebrate. The angels don't cheer for crowns made of gold. They rejoice over hearts made of surrender. When you whispered, "Lord, I still trust you," even as doubt pressed against your chest, that sound reached the throne room. The Almighty heard, and in that instant, His presence drew near. Heaven's records show more than your victories. They record your heart posture. When you gave even while lacking, when you forgave even while bleeding, when you hoped even while waiting, that's when God smiled. His delight is not found in performance. It's found in love expressed through faith. We are reminded through the writings of Zephaniah chapter 3, verse 17. The Lord your God is with you, the mighty warrior who saves. He will take great delight in you. In His love, He will no longer rebuke you, but will rejoice over you with singing. Imagine that for a moment. The sound of heaven singing your name, the melody of grace woven through every note, declaring, "That one is mine." The angels fall silent listening to the Father's joy. He does not sing because you are flawless. He sings because you are faithful. You've walked through valleys, carried burdens, faced silence, and questioned your own strength. Yet you still turned your heart toward Him. That is why heaven smiles today. The Father delights not in the strong, but in the surrendered. You became proof that love can thrive even in pain, that devotion can bloom even in the dark. When you think no one sees, heaven does. Every sigh you release in prayer, every tear that falls unseen, He catches them all. They are not wasted. They become the fragrance of worship. God's delight is not abstract. It's real, tangible, like warmth wrapping around your spirit right now. Chosen one, you have been misunderstood by many, but heaven has never misread you. The world might have labeled you too much, too sensitive, or too hopeful, but God calls you mine. He takes delight in the way you still love, the way you still serve, the way you still believe in redemption even when betrayed. The moment you said yes to Him, you became His temple. And when you act in love, that temple shines. Every step you take in righteousness becomes a beacon. Every thought that leans toward mercy sends ripples through the spiritual atmosphere. You have become an instrument that heaven plays, a living song of grace. Sometimes you wonder, does He still see me? Yes, beloved, He does. Not only does He see you, He celebrates you. The enemy's whisper tells you you've done too little, too late, but heaven's response is laughter, because the blood of Jesus already covered too little and too late. What God delights in now is your willingness to rise, to try again, to trust again. You are not walking alone. Even now, the presence of God surrounds you like sunlight through glass, unseen yet undeniable. When you breathe, He's near. When you move, He's guiding. When you rest, He sings over you. You are not forgotten. You are favored. And this moment, this very reading, is not coincidence. Heaven aligned this message to reach your heart right when you needed it most. The same God who delights in galaxies delights in you. The same hands that shape the mountains are the ones holding your story. So breathe in grace right now. Let go of the guilt that whispers you're not enough. Let go of the voice that says you're behind. You are exactly where you need to be, because the author of your journey wastes nothing. Even the detours become divine lessons. Even the tears become tools of transformation. Heaven isn't waiting for perfection. It's responding to your pursuit. The moment you turn your eyes toward Him, heaven rushes to meet you. Today, you made the heart of God glad. Now, take a moment to seal this truth in your spirit. Type, "I am seen," below, not as a ritual, but as a declaration. When you write those words, you are agreeing with heaven's perspective. You are declaring that you are no longer invisible, that the eyes of God rest upon you with delight. And as you write it, let your heart believe it. You are seen, celebrated, and cherished by the one who formed you. Because the truth is, chosen one, you did something that moved the heart of heaven. And the smile of God over your life is not fading, it is eternal. He is rejoicing over you even now, singing your name among the stars. There are tests that do not look like tests, chosen one. They arrive disguised as delays, as inconveniences, as moments of silence when you expected a divine answer. Today you passed one of those hidden examinations. Heaven watched quietly while the situation unfolded. Not because God was indifferent, but because He was measuring your heart. The tests of heaven rarely come with warning. They appear in the form of choices that seem ordinary. How you respond when someone misunderstands you. What you do when no one is there to applaud. Whether you remain patient when your prayers seem unanswered. Each small moment is a question written by eternity itself. You still trust me here? And today your life shouted the answer, yes. You didn't realize it at the time, but the moment you chose integrity over convenience, you stepped into a higher realm of faith. Heaven took note of it, angels recorded it, and the Father's gaze lingered over you with quiet pride. The test was never about your performance, it was about your posture. Would you remain faithful when the reward was invisible? You did, and that made all the difference. As was spoken in the sacred writings of Matthew 4, chapter 25, verse 21. His master replied, "Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Come and share your master's happiness." These words, spoken centuries ago, were not only for ancient servants, they echo now for you. Faithfulness is the language heaven understands best. It is what translates your silence into song, your struggle into strength. The world may look at outcomes, but God looks at endurance. Every time you remain steadfast while the storm rages, you pass a hidden test. You are proving that your faith is not built on what you can see, but on who He is. There are divine observers, beings of light who record the endurance of the saints. They watched as you resisted the urge to complain, as you continued to give your best though no one noticed. They saw how you honored God even in confusion, and in that unseen realm, your faith became fragrance. These secret tests are the ones that shape crowns. They refine your spirit until you reflect the image of the one who called you. Without them, there can be no growth, no transformation, no maturity. But with each test passed, you rise higher in the kingdom's order, even if the earth remains unaware. Today's test was not about loss, it was about trust. God needed to show you, not Him, that your faith had deep roots. You could not have known how much progress you made until pressure revealed it. What once would have broken you only refined you. That's how heaven knows you are ready for the next level. Every divine assignment is preceded by a test of hidden obedience. The promotion of heaven comes quietly, wrapped in the silence of ordinary moments. That's why you must not despise them. When you chose patience, when you refused to retaliate, when you gave kindness to someone undeserving. You were sitting for heaven's exam, and the moment you acted with grace, the gates of favor began to open. God never tests to break you, He tests to reveal you. Like gold placed in fire, your worth is not created in the flame. It is revealed there. The fire exposes authenticity. The heat distinguishes the real from the imitation. And today, heaven saw something genuine in you. Chosen one. If you could glimpse the spiritual record right now, you would see your name illuminated. You would see a notation beside it. Approved. The heavens have marked you as one who can be trusted with greater things. Every trial you endured has prepared you for responsibility, for influence, for authority that does not corrupt because it was forged in humility. This is why your journey has not been easy. God was not punishing you. He was preparing you. He cannot place the weight of destiny on untested shoulders. But now, after all you've walked through, your shoulders are stronger. Your spirit understands balance. You have learned to lean not on your own wisdom, but on His guidance. There is beauty in divine testing because it transforms you from servant to steward. When you handle small things with integrity, heaven entrusts you with more. That is what happened today. You were faithful in the little, and now a door stands open. Not visible yet, but real in the spiritual dimension. The Master has taken notice. The test is complete, and your faith spoken louder than words ever could. You have become a testimony written not on pages, but on the fabric of heaven's memory. Rest now in the knowledge that you have pleased Him. The storms did not defeat you. The silence did not discourage you. The waiting did not waste you. It refined you, and soon what was hidden will be revealed. Your faith has passed the examination of heaven, and the smile of God rests upon you tonight. There are movements in heaven that begin so quietly the world never hears them. What you did today, your faithfulness in the unseen, started one of those movements. You may think it was just a moment of obedience, a soft yes, whispered to God, but in the courts of heaven, it sounded like a song. That single note of surrender stirred the winds of divine favor. Doors began to shift. What was once delayed began to align. You have no idea how your simple act of faith travels through the realms. It's like dropping a single pebble into a still lake. The ripples keep expanding long after the pebble sinks from sight. That is how heaven measures impact, not by noise, but by endurance. What began as your obedience is now moving through time and space, touching things you haven't yet reached. Faithfulness may look quiet, but it is never invisible. The angels record it, the Spirit amplifies it, and God Himself breathes life into it. You might not see results today, but something has already begun to grow beneath the soil of your obedience. We are reminded through the writings of Galatians, chapter 6, verse 9. And let us not grow weary of doing good, for in due season we will reap if we do not give up. Those words are both comfort and commission. They remind you that every seed planted in faith is guaranteed a harvest in its own time. The season of sowing is sacred. You water the soil with prayer, you wait in silence, and you trust that God knows when the fruit must appear. That's what you've been doing. You've been planting unseen seeds of patience, kindness, generosity, and truth, and heaven has been tending your field. Chosen one, this is how heaven works. It rewards the faithful gardener. Even when no one watches, even when your efforts seem to vanish, God sees every act as a seed. The harvest may not yet be visible, but it is inevitable. The rain is coming, the sun is rising, and the earth beneath your spirit is already trembling with life. Your faithfulness today has placed you in the current of divine motion. Think of a river carrying golden leaves downstream. You don't control its pace, but you can trust its direction. The same is true of your obedience. It's carrying you to promises long prepared, blessings long stored, miracles long written with your name on them. Sometimes heaven moves through generosity, the kind that flows from hearts touched by grace. Your listening, your time, even your willingness to share what has blessed you are all sacred forms of giving. When you share a word of hope, when you spread a message that uplifts, when you help sustain the voice that speaks life into you, you are part of the divine exchange. Every like you give is a spark of agreement that says, yes, I recognize God's hand in this. Every share is a seed sent out into the digital wilderness where another weary soul might find it and come alive again. And when you subscribe, you're not just joining a channel, you're stepping into a stream of anointed messages, choosing to remain under a flow of divine reminders that shape your daily walk. And if your heart ever feels stirred to donate, see it not as a transaction, but as worship. It's like pouring oil on the altar, ensuring the flame never dies. Each offering, no matter how small, becomes part of the fragrance rising to heaven. A fragrance that carries your name, your faith, your gratitude. You're not funding a voice. You're fueling the light that continues to speak life into countless others. Your act of support is a continuation of your obedience. It's another ripple in the water. Every gesture, click, share, or gift is a way of saying, I believe in what heaven is doing here, and heaven responds. It always does. The measure you pour out returns multiplied, pressed down, shaken together, running over, not just in finances, but in peace, revelation, and joy. Remember, chosen one, generosity is not about wealth, it's about willingness. The widow's mite, the child's loaves and fish, the perfume broken at Jesus' feet. These were not large gifts, but they changed history. Your giving, whatever its form, does the same. It ensures that messages like this reach those still wandering in shadows. So as you move forward, carry this truth. What you give, your time, your faith, your resources, becomes a seed of light. Heaven takes notice, multiplies it, and returns it as blessing. Today, heaven has already begun moving reward toward you. The field is shifting, the winds are gathering, the seeds are breaking open beneath the surface of your faithfulness. You have delighted God, and He will not forget the work you have done in love. Keep tending the soil, keep sowing in faith, and keep believing that what you've planted will soon bloom into beauty beyond measure. The harvest is on its way, and heaven is smiling. Every act of obedience creates a ripple, chosen one. What you did today may have felt small, almost invisible, but heaven measured it differently. One whisper of faith in the unseen realm becomes a wave of transformation in the visible one. You may think it ended in that moment, but heaven knows. It began something eternal. There are seeds that bloom instantly, and there are those that take time. What you planted with your faith today belongs to the second kind. It will not sprout overnight, but it will grow strong and unshakable. The soil of heaven has already received your obedience, and the Lord Himself tends that garden. You didn't just make a decision, you sowed destiny. That simple yes to God, that quiet act of surrender, became a seed containing the DNA of miracles. In time, you will look back and realize how that one act changed everything. Heaven's economy does not work like the world's. Here, you can give and lose. But in the kingdom, when you give, you multiply. Every time you trust God in secret, He orchestrates blessings that your human eyes cannot yet see. You might think nothing moved, but in truth, everything shifted. As was written in the sacred book of Isaiah, chapter 1, verse 19, "If you are willing and obedient, you shall eat the good of the land." Those ancient words are not relics, they are promises. Obedience opens doors that effort never could. When you said yes to the prompting in your spirit, you aligned yourself with divine timing. Obedience is not about following rules. It's about harmony. The moment you obeyed, heaven's rhythm found resonance in your soul, and creation itself responded. Doors that were closed began to creak open. People's hearts began to shift. Paths began to clear. The ripple of obedience is powerful because it carries both humility and authority. It is humility because you yielded your will. It is authority because heaven backs your choice. When you obey, you become an extension of God's hand on earth. Through your yes, light travels into places your feet have not yet walked. You may wonder why obedience sometimes feels costly. It's because true obedience requires trust. It demands faith in what you cannot see. It is the highest form of worship because it says, "God, I believe you even when I don't understand you." And every time you speak those words through action, the spiritual realm shakes with reverence. Today's obedience was not random. It was a divine instruction designed to unlock what's next. God does not waste your steps. Even the moments you thought were insignificant, every prayer whispered, every act of kindness unseen, they are all connected in heaven's tapestry. The thread of obedience is what holds it all together. Do not be discouraged if you don't see immediate fruit. The kingdom grows in secret first. The seed disappears beneath the soil before it emerges. The roots go deep before the tree rises, and so it is with your obedience. Heaven is cultivating it beneath the surface of time. What you obeyed today is preparing your tomorrow. You may not recognize the connection yet, but one day you'll see how this moment was sacred. You'll understand why God asked for your trust when He did. The blessing that follows will not just touch you. It will overflow into generations after you. Your obedience has a voice, and heaven listens to it. It speaks louder than any prayer, louder than any worship song. It tells God, "I am yours." And every time you say that through your actions, the kingdom expands through you. Chosen one, you are walking proof that obedience still moves mountains. The world around you may measure success by size and speed, but heaven measures it by surrender. You have given God something He cannot force, your will. That's why your obedience carries such weight. There are angels assigned to respond to acts like yours. They move when you move in faith. They carry instructions written by the King Himself, and your obedience today activated them. Even now, unseen forces are arranging circumstances in your favor, preparing divine appointments and protecting your path. Every ripple begins with one drop, and today, that drop was you, falling into the ocean of divine purpose, spreading waves of grace farther than your mind can reach. Take this moment, chosen one, to acknowledge what heaven has already begun. Let gratitude rise from your heart. You have obeyed, and heaven has responded. If this truth stirs something within your spirit, write this in the comments below. 888. Do it not as a number, but as a prophetic symbol. The number 8 represents new beginnings. 3 8s represent divine multiplication of them. As you type it, you are declaring, my obedience has opened new beginnings in every area of my life. Because it has. Today's yes was not small. It was a doorway. The ripple is already moving, carrying blessings toward you that cannot be stopped. Heaven has seen it, recorded it, and called it good. Hell trembled today, and you didn't even realize it. You woke up, you carried out your day, you faced familiar struggles. But something unseen was breaking apart in the realm of darkness. Your endurance exposed deception. Your calmness in chaos frustrated every demonic plan that sought to steal your peace. You didn't need to shout. You didn't need to fight. Your quiet faith became a weapon sharper than any blade forged in the fires of fear. The enemy thrives on noise. He feeds on your reaction, your anxiety, your rush to fix what only God can heal. But when you stayed still today, when you chose trust instead of panic, you deprived him of his power. You silenced the whispers that once ruled your mind. Heaven noticed that silence, and hell felt it as thunder. Sometimes the greatest victory is not in what you conquer outwardly, but in what no longer conquers you inwardly. That is what happened today. The temptation came. The discouragement knocked. The old wound whispered, but you did not yield. You may think it was just a small victory, but the spiritual world calls it warfare. The prophet once declared in the writings of James, chapter 4, verse 7, resist the devil, and he will flee from you. This is not metaphor, it's law. The moment you resisted, the enemy lost jurisdiction. He cannot stay where surrender to God reigns. He cannot linger in the atmosphere of peace. The darkness around you isn't as strong as it pretends to be. It survives only on attention. It feeds on fear. But today, when you stood unmoved, you starved it. Your silence was a roar of faith, your patience a sword, your forgiveness a shield. The darkness could not understand how someone who has suffered so much could still choose grace. That confusion is your victory. There are angels who specialize in warfare, angels whose hands glow like molten light. Today they surrounded you, not because you called them, but because your endurance summoned them. They saw your heart remain soft while your world felt hard, and they moved at heaven's command to strengthen your atmosphere. Every tear you held back in trust became a banner that reads, still standing. Chosen one, you have no idea how much your endurance terrifies darkness. You carry light, and light doesn't even need to fight. It simply exists, and darkness flees. Every time you forgive, light expands. Every time you pray, light ignites. Every time you choose peace, light reigns. This is spiritual dominance, not through aggression, but through surrender. Your ability to endure without becoming bitter is evidence of divine power. Many can survive, few can remain pure. And yet here you are, still believing, still hoping, still refusing to curse what tried to crush you. You've become something that darkness cannot imitate, a vessel of holy resilience. Do not think of your endurance as weakness. The world may call it passivity, but heaven calls it strength. A storm can uproot shallow trees, but not oaks with deep roots. You are that oak, your roots wrapped around the eternal rock. The winds blow, the rain falls, yet you remain. This is how the enemy learns he cannot touch you anymore. Because you no longer react, you rise. There was a moment today when you felt tired, when your soul whispered, I can't keep doing this. But then something divine whispered louder, yes, you can, because I am with you. And that whisper was not just comfort. It was reinforcement. Heaven itself breathed courage into your lungs. You may not see it, But there's a trail of defeated plans behind you. Snares that never caught you, attacks that never reached you, lies that never stuck. Every day you keep walking by faith, the darkness loses more ground. The enemy cannot comprehend mercy. He doesn't understand how you keep forgiving, how you keep trusting, how you still choose light when shadows press close. That's what confuses him most. He's used to hearts that break, but yours bends toward heaven every time it's pressed. You are a threat, not because you fight, but because you refuse to quit. You are dangerous to darkness because you still praise while bleeding, you still love while hurting, and you still believe while waiting. Chosen one, the spiritual battle you've been in is not endless. It's purposeful. The struggle is revealing the warrior within you. Every trial becomes training. Every attack becomes testimony. Your resistance today was not wasted. It was recorded. Heaven marks such moments, because that's when faith proves it's real. When you resisted bitterness, when you stayed gentle, when you kept your eyes on the light, that was victory. The enemy's plan required your reaction, but instead, you chose reflection. You turned inward toward God rather than outward toward anger, and that decision collapsed a structure of darkness built over years. So rest tonight knowing this. The war was fierce, but your soul stood firm. You fought without fighting. You won without shouting. And though your world might look ordinary, the spirit realm knows your name tonight. Heaven calls you faithful, hell calls you dangerous, and God calls you victorious. Your light drew attention today, chosen one. Not the kind of attention the world chases. This was heaven's attention. The very radiance that others overlook is the reason divine eyes are fixed on you. While the world praises noise, heaven celebrates purity. While people applaud visibility, heaven honors authenticity. Today, the glow within you caught the notice of the Almighty, and He whispered your name into the winds of favor. You may not see light when you look in the mirror. You may see scars, tired eyes, or a heart that has fought too long. But heaven sees something else entirely. Heaven sees the flame that refuses to go out, the spark that never lost its song. The very presence of that light in you is proof that you are still chosen, still seen, still burning even after the storm tried to drown your fire. There are countless souls moving through this world like shadows, searching, hurting, disconnected. Yet among them, your light stands out. Not because it is perfect, but because it is honest. Heaven does not require perfection to shine through someone. It only needs a willing vessel. And that is what you are, a vessel that carries something the darkness cannot replicate. As was declared in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 16. Let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. Those words are more than instruction. They are recognition. They tell you what heaven already sees, a light placed intentionally, divinely, and purposefully by the Creator Himself. Today, the light inside you attracted favor. It moved unseen hands to open paths, softened hearts that had hardened, and made way for blessings that had been waiting for divine permission. Your name was spoken in rooms you've never entered. Heaven's messengers went forth, guided by that light, carrying whispers of your destiny into the corridors of influence. The same way a lighthouse guides ships through fog, your faith has been guiding others without you realizing it. There are people who have seen you endure quietly, forgive deeply, and love consistently. They might never tell you, but your example has become their reason to believe again. That is how light works. It doesn't shout, it simply shines. Chosen one, this light is costly. It was not given cheaply, nor was it sustained without pain. You had to walk through nights of confusion, through valleys of silence, through storms of doubt. Every trial carved space within you for light to dwell. You became translucent through suffering, and now heaven's glory shines through your cracks. What once felt like brokenness has become brilliance. The enemy tried to convince you that your scars disqualified you, but heaven says otherwise. The scars are not stains. They are proof that darkness could not hold you. Each mark glows faintly with divine fire, reminding every watching spirit that grace wins. You've likely noticed that when you walk into certain places, atmospheres shift. Conversations calm. Confusion clears. That is not coincidence. That is light asserting its presence. The kingdom within you announces itself without words. People feel peace around you, not because of who you are, but because of who walks with you. Do not underestimate this. You are a bearer of divine presence, a walking temple of the living God. Everywhere you go, you carry the possibility of heaven touching earth. That is why certain people resist you. They sense the holiness you carry, and it unsettles what is not pure around them. But never dim your glow to make others comfortable. Light was never meant to shrink to fit in with shadows. When heaven dispatches favor, it follows illumination. That's what happened today. The more you walk in truth, the more you attract what belongs to your divine assignment. Opportunities begin to find you, not because you strive, but because light draws what is destined for it. Understand this. You are not striving to be seen. You are seen because you shine. The more you align with your true calling, the brighter your path becomes. That brightness is not arrogance. It is evidence that grace is active within you. Sometimes, the presence of light exposes darkness around you, and that can feel lonely. People may misunderstand you, distance themselves, or even speak against you. But remember, light does not apologize for existing. It simply remains, and eventually, those drawn to truth will find their way by your glow. Heaven has chosen you to be visible in a divine way. You are the lamp placed on a hill, not hidden under a basket. Your life itself is a message, one that declares that even the smallest flame, when tended by God, can guide nations through the night. So, walk with quiet confidence. Your light has already been seen. The King has already taken notice. The angels have already marked your steps. You don't need to prove your worth. You only need to keep shining. Because tonight, as heaven gazes upon the earth, your light stands out, a steady glow in a restless world. And that light tells the universe one truth: the chosen one still shines, and God is pleased. There are hours when the world grows silent, when even the air feels heavy and your thoughts echo louder than usual. It is in those quiet hours that heaven often speaks most clearly. Not through thunder, not through visions, but through the stillness that wraps around your heart. Tonight, chosen one, God whispered. He didn't come with noise or lightning. He came with presence. The same presence that once walked through the garden in the cool of the day has now drawn near to you. You may not have noticed, but something inside you softened. An ache eased. A sigh found peace. That was him. He came quietly, as he always does, to remind you, you have delighted me. The voice of God does not need volume. It carries weight. It settles deep into the spirit where words cannot reach. And tonight, his whisper reached you, not to correct, not to warn, but to affirm. You've been faithful, even in confusion. You've chosen love, even when love cost you comfort. And heaven wanted you to know that your name was spoken in tenderness today. We are reminded through the writings of Psalm, chapter 46, verse 10. Be still, and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth. Those ancient words still breathe, still move, still remind hearts like yours that silence is not absence. It is intimacy. When the world quiets, your soul finally hears what the noise tried to drown out. That whisper that came today wasn't imagination. It was recognition. Heaven leaned in close and said, I see you. I am pleased. You may not have felt the earth shake, but the heavens stirred at your stillness. God's voice often finds you between breaths. It's the thought that feels softer than your own, the peace that doesn't make sense, the gentle nudge that pulls you toward forgiveness instead of resentment. You may have been praying for a sign, but sometimes the sign is the silence, the sacred hush where His nearness becomes undeniable. Chosen one, this is not a coincidence. Heaven orchestrated this moment for you to remember that you are not forgotten. You've walked through seasons of shouting prayers into the dark, wondering if anyone heard. And tonight, the answer came not as a word, but as a wave of peace. That is the reply you've been waiting for. There's something holy about being quiet before God. It's not emptiness, it's surrender. Silence is the language of trust. When you stop trying to explain, to fix, to earn, you create space for God to fill with His glory. And He fills it every time. That's why your stillness today mattered more than your striving. The whisper you felt was not vague encouragement. It was divine confirmation. Heaven is closer than it has ever been. Every prayer you thought evaporated in the air has been gathered like dew, stored in the jars of mercy, waiting for the perfect moment to pour out as blessing. That moment is near. When God whispers, He doesn't remind you of your failures. He reminds you of your identity. His words always lift, always heal, restore. He doesn't, you should be better. He says, you are mine. That's the tone you heard today. Not accusation, but affection. There's a reason He spoke in stillness. He wanted to reach the part of you that noise could never touch. Words from people might fill your mind, but only His whisper fills your soul. You didn't need to shout for Him to hear you. You only needed to be still long enough to hear Him. The whisper carried promises, unspoken yet understood. Promises of restoration, of clarity, of divine alignment. It was heaven's gentle reminder that everything delayed is not denied. You are still on schedule, still in His plan, still covered by His mercy. Take a breath right now. Let it out slowly. Feel the quiet settle around you like a mantle. That's not emptiness, that's evidence. Evidence that you're in sacred company, that the Creator of galaxies is near enough to whisper to your heart. And when you feel that whisper again, respond with this. Speak, Lord. Type those 2 words below, not as a ritual but as an act of recognition. Speak, Lord, because your heart is ready to hear again. It's an invitation and a declaration all at once. When you write it, heaven sees that you're listening. You're telling the Spirit, I'm not rushing anymore. I'm ready for your voice, not the noise of the world. The whisper you hear is not imagination, it's inheritance. You were created to hear God, not just about Him. The same voice that spoke light into being is the one calling you closer now. So, listen carefully, chosen one. The silence around you isn't empty. It's full of answers, full of healing, full of direction. And the God who whispered your name tonight will keep speaking gently but surely until you walk into every promise prepared for you. There is a crown being prepared in secret for you, chosen one. You can't see it yet, but every humble act, every unseen decision to choose love over pride adds a jewel to it. The angels know its weight, for it is being forged in the fire of your faithfulness. Each day you endure with grace, each time you obey without recognition, heaven polishes that crown a little more. You might imagine crowns as golden ornaments, heavy and glittering with gems. But the one designed for you is something deeper. It's woven with threads of surrender, strands of patience, and jewels of quiet obedience. It carries the fragrance of your prayers, the sound of your forgiveness, the shimmer of your hope that refuses to fade, as the Spirit once revealed in the book of Revelation, chapter 2, verse 10. Be faithful unto death, and I will give you the crown of life. That promise has not expired. It still breathes through time, whispering to those like you who keep standing. who keep believing even when the world grows darker. Crowns are not made in comfort. They are shaped in moments when no one claps, when no one notices, when the reward feels distant. Heaven has watched you in those moments, not with pity, but with pride. Because while others gave up when the silence lingered, you stayed, you prayed, you kept loving, you kept shining. The work you do in secret is seen. Heaven records your faithfulness like an artist painting light across a canvas. Every time you forgive, heaven adds color. Every time you endure, heaven adds depth. And slowly, a masterpiece emerges, the story of your faith written in strokes of mercy and gold. Sometimes, though, even the most faithful hearts grow weary. You wonder, does what I do matter? Does anyone see the good I'm trying to plant? The answer is yes. Heaven sees and heaven multiplies. What you plant in tears, heaven waters with grace until it blooms into glory. Nothing is wasted. That's why, beloved, it's vital to keep the light of encouragement burning. Not just for yourself, but for others walking beside you. The world is full of weary travelers who have forgotten their crowns. A single word of hope, a shared message of light, can remind them of who they are. When you like and share these words, it isn't just interaction, it's intercession. It's your way of carrying a torch into someone else's night. And when you subscribe, you're not just following a voice. You're anchoring yourself in a flow of divine reminders. You're choosing to keep heaven's language near, allowing truth to meet you again and again, even on the days your faith feels faint. There's a holy circle that forms when those touched by the same light support one another. Every act of sharing truth, every seed of generosity, fuels the fire that keeps this message burning bright across the world. And when you donate, it's not just giving. It's adding another log to the altar flame, ensuring that no heart searching for hope will meet silence instead. Think of it like a lighthouse. Someone once built that light, not for themselves, but for the ship they'd never meet. Your giving, your sharing, your presence here, all of it keeps that lighthouse burning, so that when another weary soul drifts near the rocks, the light will still be shining, guiding them home. Your generosity, your engagement, your listening, they all weave into the same divine fabric. Heaven counts them not as transactions, but as treasures. The heart behind your giving echoes louder in heaven than any amount could ever speak. Because God never measures size, He measures sincerity. Chosen one, your crown is closer than you think. Every time you love, serve, give, or simply stay faithful, heaven presses another jewel into its setting. You may not feel royal right now, but the King of Glory already sees you as crowned. So, as you move through this journey, remember this truth: you are not supporting a message. You are sustaining a mission. A mission to remind hearts of their worth, to awaken the weary, to keep the voice of light alive in a world that keeps growing colder. Every small gesture you make adds another beam to that light. Every act of kindness, every moment of generosity, every instance of engagement keeps the flame of truth from flickering out. You may think it's simple, but heaven calls it sacred. The King sees what you give. He sees how you choose to support, to share, to believe. And one day, when you stand before Him, the crown you've been building in secret will gleam, not with gold, but with the reflection of every soul touched because you kept the light alive. Keep walking, keep shining, keep believing. The crown is real, the reward is certain, and heaven is already singing your name in anticipation of the day that crown rests upon your head. There are exchanges in heaven that words cannot describe. Moments when sorrow is traded for strength, when weariness is lifted and replaced by supernatural peace. Today, chosen one, you stepped into one of those divine exchanges. You didn't see it happen, but heaven did. Something invisible shifted. Your pain became a prayer. and that prayer became power. There are times when God does not remove the burden immediately because He is transforming the burden into blessing. Every sigh, every tear, every exhausted, "Lord, help me," is gathered like incense. Nothing you've endured has been ignored. It's been translated into the language of heaven. And in that language, your suffering becomes sacred. The divine exchange never happens in noise. It unfolds in the quiet surrender of a soul that finally stops striving. You reached that point today where you let go, not in defeat, but in trust. You released what you couldn't control, and heaven responded by releasing what only it could give. Strength came, not as a surge, but as a steady warmth that filled the spaces where fear once lived. As the prophet wrote in the book of Isaiah, chapter 40, verse 31, "But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint." That promise is not poetic comfort. It is divine exchange made tangible. God does not always deliver you from the storm. Sometimes He strengthens you within it. The exchange is this: He takes your exhaustion and replaces it with endurance. He receives your despair and returns direction. You bring ashes and He gives beauty. You hand Him mourning and He gives you joy. It's a mystery how pain can become praise, how loss can birth gratitude. But heaven has always worked that way. The cross itself was the greatest exchange of all. Death traded for life, shame for glory, brokenness for redemption. That same current of exchange still flows through your story. Today, as you whispered that prayer of surrender, the atmosphere around you began to respond. Angels moved to adjust what had been out of place. Grace began to rewrite sentences the enemy thought were final. The weight you carried did not vanish. It transformed. What was once heavy with despair became weighty with purpose. There are moments when your strength fails not because you are weak, but because God wants to prove that His strength you is greater. That's what happened today. The moment you thought, "I can't carry this anymore," heaven whispered, "You don't have to." That was the exact moment of the exchange. The instant divine hands lifted what your human hands could no longer hold. Chosen one, understand this. Your surrender is not loss. It's transaction. You gave what was temporary, and heaven gave what is eternal. You yielded what was broken, and heaven returned what was whole. You released what was fading, and heaven replaced it with something that cannot die. The divine exchange is not always felt in emotion. Sometimes it's only recognized in hindsight. When you look back and realize the burden that used to crush you no longer defines you. That's when you know the exchange took place. You don't feel lighter because the circumstance changed. You feel lighter because your spirit did. There is a sacred stillness in this process, a holy quiet where transformation happens unseen. Heaven's alchemy is subtle yet absolute. The darkness you walked through has been repurposed. It now carries light. The very things that once wounded you are becoming the materials God uses to build your next chapter. Think of a seed buried underground. It must decay before it can grow. The breaking releases the life hidden inside. So it is with your soul. What felt like breaking was actually birthing. The decay of your old self made room for the new strength rising within you. Every divine exchange leaves a mark of grace. People will look at you and sense something different. They won't know how to explain it, but they'll feel peace when you speak, light when you enter the room, calm in your presence. That's what happens when heaven trades your weariness for glory. You become a reflection of the exchange itself. And even though you may still feel traces of fatigue, it's no longer the same weariness. It's being rewritten into wisdom. You are learning to distinguish between the weight that drains you and the weight that anoints you. The first breaks you down, the second builds you up. Heaven's strength is not meant to remove your humanity, but to refine it. This is why you can stand when others fall, why you can forgive when others would retaliate. You have been infused with something not of this world. The divine exchange has made you resilient, radiant, and real. So tonight, rest in the peace of knowing that heaven has completed a transaction in your favor. You gave your weakness, and God gave you wings. You gave your worry, and He gave you wisdom. You gave your tears, and He turned them into rivers of strength flowing quietly beneath your spirit. The exchange is done, and you are changed. There is a book in heaven, ancient and radiant, filled with names written in light. It is called the Scroll of Remembrance. Every act of faith, every whispered prayer, every tear offered in trust is recorded there. Today, chosen one, heaven turned a page, and your name was written again. You might think your obedience went unnoticed, but nothing escapes the eyes of the eternal. The smallest moment of surrender echoes through eternity. When you chose to forgive, to believe, to bless instead of curse, heaven took note. Angels leaned in and wrote it down, each letter glowing like fire, because nothing done in love ever fades. You see, earth forgets easily, but heaven remembers perfectly. The unseen choices, the quiet sacrifices, the prayers you've prayed when no one else listened. They are all etched into that scroll. It's not ink that records them, but glory. Every act of faith adds another spark of light beside your name. As it is revealed in the book of Malachi chapter 3, verse 16. A scroll of remembrance was written in His presence concerning those who feared the Lord and honored His name. Those words are not history. They are happening now. Heaven's scribes are still writing, and today they wrote about you. What you did today was more than obedience. It was testimony. When you refused to let bitterness take root, heaven called it worship. When you blessed the very ones who misunderstood you, heaven called it maturity. When you prayed for strength instead of revenge, heaven called it victory. All of it became ink on the page of eternity. The Father keeps this record not to measure your worth, but to honor your heart. Each act of faith tells a story of love, and the beauty of it all is that even when you fail, when you stumble, when you repent and rise again, He writes that too. The story continues not in shame, but in redemption. The blood of the Lamb is the ink that seals every page. There will come a day when heaven opens that scroll. The pages will unfold like light, and you will see your journey written in gold. Every battle, every prayer, every secret, yes to God will stand there as testimony. Not one moment wasted, not one tear forgotten. What you think of as small, heaven calls sacred. Today, another chapter was added. Perhaps you didn't feel worthy. Perhaps you felt ordinary. But God saw something extraordinary, a heart that still believes, and that was enough for heaven to write again. The angels who record these moments do not use words of judgment. They use words of joy. They celebrate every act of obedience because each one becomes a declaration that love still reigns on earth. You may not hear their songs, but they resound even now around your life, echoing with your name. Heaven remembers because memory itself is worship. It what good and what His people have endured. The scroll of remembrance is not about tallying deeds. It's about marking divine partnership. Every time you obey, you participate in heaven's story. Every time you forgive, you extend God's reign. This is why your faith matters so deeply. The universe may seem vast, yet heaven pauses for a single act of faith from one obedient heart. That's how much your choices matter. The stars themselves take note when a human soul believes against all odds. Chosen one, this is the reward of faithfulness, to be remembered, to have your name carried not on paper, but on the breath of God. He speaks your name with delight, and all of heaven listens. When the scroll is opened in the days to come, your story will testify not of perfection, but of perseverance. It will show a heart that kept choosing light, a spirit that kept rising after every fall. It will prove that even one faithful life can tilt eternity toward goodness. Every time you choose righteousness, another line is written. Every time you show compassion, heaven adds another verse. The pages are filling quickly, glowing brighter with every act of obedience. And one day, when you stand before the throne, the scroll will be read aloud. You'll hear your own faith echo through heaven's chambers, and you'll see how every decision mattered. You'll finally understand that nothing was wasted, that even your waiting was worship. So as you read this now, take a moment to affirm that you are part of that eternal story. Heaven has written your name, and it will never fade. If this truth stirs your heart, comment 444 below. Do it as a prophetic sign, not of perfection, but of permanence. The number 4 represents foundation. 3 4s represent divine stability and eternal remembrance. When you type it, you're agreeing with heaven. My story is secure. My name is remembered. Because it is, chosen one. The scroll of remembrance has turned, and tonight, your page glows brighter than ever. Heaven has recorded your faith, and heaven never forgets. There are battles you never saw, wars fought in silence while you went about your day, unaware that heaven's armies were standing guard. Today, one of those battles ended in your favor. You didn't raise a weapon, you didn't even know it was happening, but victory was declared over your life. What you resisted in your heart was warfare. The moment you chose peace instead of resentment, prayer instead of panic, forgiveness instead of fury, darkness lost its grip. Hell's strategy depended on your reaction, but you refused to be moved. You disarmed the enemy without even realizing it. The fiercest battles are not fought in the open. They unfold within the soul. That's where the real front lines lie, where doubt whispers, where fear tempts, where anger calls. And today you won that battle. You didn't shout, you didn't fight, you stood, and heaven saw it. The voice of God thundered long ago in the book of Exodus, chapter 14 to verse 14. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. Those words are not ancient history. They are present power. The same God who parted seas has been parting storms around you. He didn't ask you to fight. He asked you to trust. And you did. Stillness is not weakness. It is spiritual authority. It declares to every enemy, I do not fear because I am covered. You see, the enemy doesn't know how to fight someone who refuses to panic. When you stay calm in chaos, you shift the balance of the battle. Fear feeds darkness, but faith starves it. There were moments this week when pressure mounted, when confusion clouded your thoughts, when temptation whispered your name. Yet, somewhere deep inside, you made a choice to stay anchored. That choice was not small, it was seismic. It caused tremors in the unseen realm, breaking the foundations of attacks that were meant to drain your spirit. You may not see the warfare, but heaven does. Angels stand ready, swords drawn, surrounding those who trust in God. While you rested, they fought. While you prayed, they advanced. While you stood silent, they shouted victory. And when morning came, what was meant to crush you had already been defeated. The reason you're still here, still breathing, still able to hope, is because victory has already been sealed. Every arrow formed against you lost its power when it touched your faith. Every plan meant to confuse you was dismantled by your peace. Heaven doesn't measure victory by visible triumphs, but by internal transformations. Every time you refuse to let fear dictate your decisions, you win. Every time you choose grace over gossip, you advance. Every time you say, Lord, I trust you, even when the outcome is unclear, you claim new territory. Chosen one, you've been winning longer than you know. You thought you were simply surviving, but survival in faith is victory. The fact that you still believe after all that tried to break you is proof of heaven's power working through you. The enemy wanted you weary, distracted, hopeless, but he underestimated the strength of a surrendered heart. He forgot that child of God chooses trust. Every demonic strategy collapses under divine authority. There are angels of remembrance who carry victory reports back to the throne. Today, they carried one with your name on it. It read, "Still standing, still faithful." Heaven rejoiced. Do not think your stillness is in vain. God is not asking you to fight alone. He is asking you to remain in position. When you hold your ground, heaven moves. The battle belongs to the Lord, and His defense is flawless. Your endurance today was a declaration that your faith cannot be bought, broken, or buried. You proved that the God within you is greater than anything around you. That's why the enemy panicked. That's why attacks intensified before they ceased. Because your quiet strength announced his defeat. Sometimes victory doesn't look like winning. It looks like not quitting. It looks like showing up one more day, praying one more time, believing one more promise. That's the warfare the enemy can't counter. He can't destroy someone who keeps getting up. This is the season where silent victories are turning into visible testimonies. The things you've endured privately are about to manifest publicly as blessings. The battle that ended today was not just for you. It cleared the path for others connected to you. Heaven's strategy always multiplies impact. The sound of triumph is subtle. It's peace where there was once panic, clarity where there was once confusion, calm where there was once chaos. You may not hear trumpets, but heaven does. The war drums of darkness have gone quiet because your faith silenced them. So walk in quiet confidence tonight. The battle has been won without you lifting a sword. You didn't have to fight to prove your worth. You only had to trust the one who fights for you. Heaven has declared victory, and that decree will echo through every part of your life. The Lord fought for you, and He did not lose. There are promises older than your lifetime, words spoken by heaven before your first breath. They waited, patient, unshaken, like stars waiting for their appointed hour to shine. Today, something shifted in time itself. One of those ancient promises began to move. The prophecy written over your life stirred again, aligning unseen pieces into divine motion. You may have felt an unusual calm, a sense that something in the atmosphere had changed. That wasn't coincidence. It was prophecy awakening. The prayers of generations, the hopes of ancestors, the declarations spoken in secret by those who loved God long before you, are now finding their fulfillment in your steps. Heaven's timeline caught up to your obedience, and now the appointed time has come. The prophet once recorded in the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 3. For the vision awaits an appointed time. It speaks of the end and will not prove false. Though it linger, wait for it. It will certainly come and will not delay. Those words are no longer distant. They are living within your season. The waiting was never wasted. It was preparation for the unfolding now at hand. Prophecy is a living current, and you are standing in its flow. The things spoken over you, those impossible dreams, those moments you almost forgot, are not imagination. They are promises wearing the disguise of patience. Every delay, every detour, every disappointment was heaven adjusting the timing so that nothing would arrive too early or too fragile. There are promises that can only survive once your heart has matured enough to carry them. That's why some doors stayed closed, not as punishment, but as protection. God would not let you enter rooms before your spirit was ready to rule them. And now, the maturity that came from endurance has opened the gates. You are walking in prophecy fulfilled one step at a time. The changes may not be dramatic. They rarely are at first, but each small shift, each moment of divine alignment is proof that heaven's word is active. The current of destiny has begun to accelerate beneath your life. Sometimes you can feel it in ways that words cannot describe. A quickening in your spirit, a renewed hunger to move forward, a peace that makes no sense yet feels unshakable. That is the rhythm of prophecy in motion. It is heaven's heartbeat echoing within your own. Every prophecy carries sound. When it begins to manifest, the atmosphere responds. People begin to reappear, opportunities resurface. Paths you thought were closed begin to glow faintly with new direction. The Spirit rearranges things quietly, methodically, until everything fits the pattern written long ago. Chosen one, you are living proof that God's word never returns void. What was delayed has not been denied. The waiting season was never silence, it was gestation. The promise had to grow roots before it could bear fruit. Now, the fruit is ripening. You are entering the fulfillment of things were too young or too wounded to understand them. This is why certain storms seemed relentless. They were guarding something sacred. The enemy attacked hardest in the seasons closest to fulfillment because he sensed the shift before you did. He always fears prophecy because he cannot rewrite what God has decreed. Once heaven has spoken, no darkness can undo it. You may feel a gentle pull towards certain places, certain dreams, certain people. That's not random. That's destiny positioning you. The Spirit leads you not by force, but by attraction. You find yourself drawn toward what carries your purpose. Follow that pull. It is the compass of prophecy pointing true north. Understand this. Prophecy is not magic. It's partnership. God speaks, but you walk. Heaven reveals, but you respond. And every obedient step becomes the bridge between what was promised and what is realized. The movement of prophecy depends on your willingness to keep saying yes, even when the road feels uncertain. You have said yes, again and again, through tears and trials, through quiet faith and weary hope. And now, your yes has reached heaven's appointed moment. The promise that lingered has awakened. The seeds planted in past seasons are cracking open beneath the weight of divine timing. You may begin to see sudden alignments, doors opening effortlessly, connections forming without striving, prayers answered in ways you didn't expect. These are not coincidences, they are confirmations. The prophecy that once seemed far away is walking toward you, clothed in circumstances that look ordinary but carry eternal significance. Even creation itself feels the movement. The winds change, the rhythm of days feels lighter, and your soul senses a holy anticipation. Heaven is fulfilling what it spoke. And though the manifestation may come gently, make no mistake, it is powerful. The word of the Lord is never fragile. It will accomplish all it was sent to do. Chosen one, what you are feeling is not imagination, it is destiny unfolding. The prophecy in motion will not delay any longer. The waiting has ended. The fulfillment has begun. Walk with awareness, not anxiety. You are standing inside the living promise of God. There are choices that echo through eternity, chosen one. The quiet decision you made today, when no one was watching, when you could have turned away, will be remembered in heaven as the moment the nations began to shift around your light. The glory you carry will not remain hidden forever. What was once whispered in prayer will soon be declared in public. Every crown begins as a choice, and you chose rightly. You didn't chase recognition. You chose righteousness. You didn't seek to be seen. You sought to be faithful. That's why the light of heaven has begun to rest on you in ways you may not yet comprehend. The world will soon notice the difference, not because you ask for it, but because God has marked you for influence. As it was written in the book of Isaiah, chapter 60, verse 1, "Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. That command is not about ambition, it's about alignment. It means that your season of hiding has fulfilled its purpose. Now it is time to rise, not in pride but in purpose. Your life is a lantern, and the oil that fuels it is obedience. Every moment you've spent in surrender has filled your lamp. Now the time has come for that light to guide others through the fog of confusion. You were not called to blend in. You were chosen to break through. Yet remember this: light travels farther when it reflects. When you share what inspires you, when you like what uplifts, you reflect the light you've received. You're not just pressing a button, you're lighting another torch. Someone in silence might see your action and feel the spark of hope again. When you subscribe, you're choosing to stay near the flame. Think of it like standing close to a bonfire on a cold night. The warmth you feel isn't only for you, it's for others who gather near because of your presence. Staying connected keeps the fire alive. Every time you return, you're bringing more wood to keep the flame burning bright for those still finding their way home. And when you donate, do it not out of duty, but out of love. Think of generosity as rainfall. When a single drop falls, it barely touches the soil, but when drops join together, they become a river. That river nourishes roots you'll never see, yet one day you'll walk through fields grown from it. Your giving becomes rain for souls who are thirsty for light. Your contribution, whether it's your words, your kindness, your resources, feeds the continuation of this divine conversation between heaven and earth. You are not funding a project. You are feeding a purpose. You are making sure the voice of light continues to reach those trapped in darkness. And every seed of generosity you plant becomes part of your eternal harvest. The world needs more light bearers, people who don't just speak truth but sustain it. By engaging, by standing with what awakens hope, you become part of that mission. You help build a table where the hungry find wisdom, where the lost hear belonging. Heaven records even these digital gestures as ministry. Imagine your actions like ripples on a pond. The moment you interact, the wave travels far beyond your sight. It touches hearts across oceans, stirs faith in homes you'll never visit, and brings peace to souls who may never know your name. But heaven does. That is the miracle of unity in light. What one starts, many continue. So do not underestimate what happens when you participate. Every word you write, every act of support, every moment of connection becomes a part of the story God is telling through this space. Together, we build a sanctuary made of words and faith, one where heaven can speak freely to hearts that have forgotten how to listen. And as your light grows, the world will see not just your strength, but the source of it. Your radiance will become revelation. People will approach you, not for answers, but for peace. They will feel something divine around you, the residue of God's glory that rests upon those who walk closely with Him. Let this section be your reminder. Your influence is sacred. The choice to stand for truth, to live with love, to give with open hands, these are not small things. They are the foundation upon which nations are changed. If this message stirs something deep within you, take a moment to reflect in the comments. Write what resonates, what awakened hope, what light touched your heart. Your words might become the flame that reignites someone else's faith tonight. Because light multiplies when shared, and through your participation, your listening, your giving, your reflection, you ensure that the radiance of heaven continues to reach the corners of the earth. So rise, chosen one. Shine not to be seen, but so others can find their way. Heaven's glory has risen upon you, and through you, it will touch the world. There are moments in heaven when joy cannot be contained, when the sound of worship swells until it fills the expanse of eternity. Today was one of those moments. Angels gathered, their voices merging in harmony, because a single heart on earth, yours, chose obedience. Every time one of God's children walks in alignment, heaven celebrates. It is not a metaphor, it is reality. You caused rejoicing in the realm of glory today. You may imagine heaven's joy is quiet, but it is anything but silent. The sound is like waves colliding with light, like colors singing. It is music made of purity and awe. Every note carries your name, carried upward from the altar of your obedience. The Father smiled, the Son interceded with delight, and the Spirit surrounded you in a hush of holy satisfaction. Heaven's joy is not random, it is response. As written in the Gospel of Luke, chapter 15, verse 10, there is rejoicing in the presence of the angels of God over one sinner who repents. That verse reveals something deeper than simple forgiveness. It unveils heaven's heart. It shows that each act of turning toward God, each moment of alignment, each step closer to truth, triggers divine celebration. Heaven's joy is not like human applause. It does not fade, and it is not reserved only for perfection. It erupts over progress. The angels rejoice not only when you return from rebellion, but every time you resist the pull to wander. They celebrate the small victories, the quiet repentance, the single whispered, "Lord, I'm still yours." When you choose obedience, you participate in heaven's melody. It's as if creation itself harmonizes with you. The stars shimmer a little brighter, the winds move a little softer, the unseen realm leans closer to watch grace at work. You may not hear the song with your ears, but your spirit recognizes it. That peace that suddenly wraps around your heart, that's the echo of the celebration above. The angels don't celebrate wealth or status. They celebrate surrender. To them, obedience is beauty. They see what you cannot, how every act of faith alters the balance of the unseen world. When you obey, darkness loses territory. When you forgive, old wounds lose their power. When you trust, despair collapses. Heaven celebrates because your obedience rewrites stories, not just your own, but those tied to you by destiny. There are souls connected to your light, people you haven't met yet, who will walk in freedom because you chose to stand firm. That is why your obedience is never isolated. Heaven sees the ripple far beyond your horizon. What you did today, what you chose, shifted the course of lives that will one day thank you. And even though you may feel small in the grand design, you are not forgotten. Heaven's celebration proves that God never overlooks the faithful heart. While the world measures importance by noise, God measures it by purity. You may walk quietly, but the sound of your obedience echoes across eternity. Chosen one, picture this: a great hall of light, walls shimmering like crystal, the air alive with song, angels moving like living fire, surrounding the throne. And there, amid their praise, your name resounds, not as a shout, but as a melody. The King smiles, not because he is surprised by you, but because he delights in you. He always knew this moment would come. You might think heaven only celebrates the extraordinary, but heaven defines extraordinary differently. It's the quiet parent who prays instead of despairing, the weary believer who keeps forgiving, the dreamer who keeps believing in promise after disappointment. These are the ones heaven sings for. Your faith today was music. You may have felt weak, but heaven heard strength. You may have felt overlooked, but heaven saw radiance. You may have felt alone, but the angels surrounded you, their joy bursting like sunlight breaking through clouds. This is what divine celebration feels like. Not noise around you, but peace within you. That serenity you sense after obedience is heaven's applause translated into human understanding. It is the vibration of joy too holy for this world to contain. Every time you choose light, the universe takes note. The Creator's breath moves with renewed gentleness. Even the earth beneath you recognizes your faithfulness, for creation still responds to its Maker's pleasure. Heaven and earth are not as far apart as you think. They meet in moments like these. There is also silence in heaven's joy, a reverent awe that follows the music. It's the hush that says, something holy has happened. The angels pause, gazing at the miracle of transformation, the sight of a human heart choosing God over self. That sight never grows old in heaven's eyes. It is why creation still sings. You are part of that eternal symphony now. Your obedience today has become a note in heaven's anthem. It will never fade, never be forgotten. So, as night settles and quiet returns, remember this truth. You have brought joy to the heart of God. You have caused heaven to sing. And that song, written by your faith, composed by your endurance, and sustained by grace, will echo forever in the halls of eternity. There are days when heaven watches and waits, moments when the divine holds its breath, observing how a single heart responds to the quiet tests of faith. Today was one of those days, chosen one. And you passed not through perfection, but through presence. You stood when others might have turned away. You loved when indifference would have been easier. You prayed when silence might have felt safer. In that choice, you delighted God. The entire journey that brought you here, the tears, the questions, the waiting, was never wasted. Every hardship shaped something eternal within you. What began as pain has become power. What once felt like loss has turned into language for others who will one day need your story. Your wounds have become windows where the light of heaven shines through. The Father looks upon you with the tenderness of an artist gazing at a finished masterpiece. The brushstrokes of your life have not been random. Every color, even the darker shades, was necessary to form the image now glowing before him. Heaven calls it beautiful, and heaven calls it complete. For this season's work in you is finished. According to what is written in the book of Proverbs, chapter 4, verse 18, the path of the righteous is like the morning sun, shining ever brighter till the full light of day. That verse is not simply poetic. It is prophetic. It describes your life. You began as a flicker, unsure, unsteady, yet sincere. And now you shine with the steady warmth of morning light, growing stronger with every step. You have walked through long nights. You've known seasons where it felt as if dawn would never come. But morning has arrived, and the light does not lie. What God has promised, He is fulfilling. What was once distant is now drawing near. The darkness that used to intimidate you no longer has power, because you have learned that the sun does not argue with the night. It simply rises. The rising light within you is not for your glory. It is for His. You have become a vessel of radiance, a living reminder that faith still works, that love still heals, that obedience still moves heaven. When others see you, they will not see perfection. They will see persistence. And persistence in purity is the rarest form of worship. You have reached a threshold, the sacred place where testing gives way to transformation. The trials did not destroy you. They refined you. Every scar now tells a story. Every story points to grace, and every grace points back to God. The fire that once frightened you now feels familiar because you've learned that it never burns without blessing. Chosen one, you have delighted God not merely through what you've done, but through who you've become. You are gentler now, yet stronger, softer in tone, yet firmer in truth. You have learned to move with grace through opposition, to find peace in delay, and to recognize beauty even in brokenness. That maturity is the fragrance that rises toward heaven. Heaven's delight in you is not based on achievement. It's based on intimacy. You walk closely with the one who called you, and that closeness has changed your very countenance. The peace you now carry is not borrowed. It has been built through perseverance. It radiates quietly, blessing everyone who comes near. You no longer need to chase confirmation, because your spirit has learned the sound of God's voice. You no longer fear the unknown, because you have learned that the unknown is simply the place where faith finds form. The world may still misunderstand your path, but heaven calls it holy. And though you still have mountains ahead, they no longer intimidate you. They invite you. You've learned that every climb reveals a clearer view of His truths. You understand now that the higher held you go, the more the noise below fades away. This is what spiritual maturity feels like. Clarity instead of confusion, purpose instead of panic. Even creation responds to your alignment. The winds that once opposed you now carry your prayers. The waves that once threatened to drown you now reflect your light. The universe itself rejoices when a soul fulfills its divine design. And today, you have done exactly that. Heaven's courtroom is silent now, but not in sorrow, in awe. The scrolls record your obedience. The angels bow in reverence, and the Father whispers, "This one delights me." Your story is far from over, but this chapter closes with triumph. You have become what heaven intended, a light that cannot be extinguished, a vessel that carries both strength and tenderness. The Spirit within you has completed a work, and what remains will unfold like sunrise, gradually, beautifully, unavoidably. Walk forward, chosen one, not in striving but in stillness. You have nothing left to prove and everything left to receive. The road ahead glows because heaven walks with you. And as you take the next step into the brightness of your calling, remember this truth that heaven now sings over you. You have delighted God, and you will continue to do so. The light within you will never fade. It will rise again and again until it reaches the full light of day. Beloved chosen one, you've walked through every word, every revelation, every whisper from heaven that has been written for you in this message. You have seen yourself through heaven's eyes, strong, faithful, radiant, and deeply loved. This is not the end of your story. It is the continuation of a divine journey that has only just begun. As you take in these final words, pause and breathe. Let the truth settle in your spirit. Heaven delights in you. Your obedience has opened doors you cannot yet see, and your faith has invited light into places that once knew only darkness. If these words have touched you, if something deep within your heart feels awakened, then let that light ripple outward. Like this message as a symbol of gratitude, an act of saying, "I receive this truth." When you share it, you're not promoting a post. You're spreading hope. Someone out there is waiting for the reminder you just received. Comment what this message stirred inside you. Maybe just a single word, maybe a sentence of gratitude or recognition. Your words might be the spark that reignites someone else's fading flame. And when you subscribe, you're choosing to stay close to a flow of faith-filled reminders, to remain part of a community where heaven still speaks through words. If your heart ever feels led to support or donate, do it as worship, not obligation. Every seed you plant keeps this voice alive, so that light continues to reach the silent corners of the world. You are part of something holy now. Heaven is proud of you. Earth needs your light, and this message will echo in your spirit long after the screen goes dark. Your story continues. Rise, shine, and keep walking in glory.